Chapter 41. This spiritual milk is really good. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A pale pink palace dress, embroidered with a light blue butterfly spreading its wings on the skirt, floated with a layer of white gauze, her silky black hair cascaded around her waist. She had a tiny waist and a sweet, baby face, always with a smile. The moment Lu Changjing saw Tan Qingyun, his mood instantly lifted. He strode forward, swept her into his arms as she rushed to greet him, and headed toward the secret room behind him. Laughing at a king, huh? That's a paddlin'. Pa bang. Hee hee, my brother's paddlin' feels so good. Why don't you do it again? Oh, you wanna sass me now, do you? Pa bang bang. He spanked Tan Qingyun until her bottom was red, and then Lu Changjing released her. Here, this is for my brother. Tan Qingyun opened a lunchbox filled with 300 low-grade spirit stones and dozens of spirit fruit elixirs. It was way more valuable than what Lin Yisan and Tang Qingyi had given. If it weren't for the blue sky divine ring included in Rong Xiao's gift, this would top it. She's definitely Tan Qianqian's daughter, one of the top 10 richest people in the Daning dynasty, rolling in dough. Lu Changjing didn't hesitate to stash it away. He hugged Tan Qingyun, saying, "You're so good to me. Let me shower you with love in the future." If brother wants to shower baby with love, how about making her queen? Tan Qingyun said with a grin. Lu Changjing was taken aback and gave her another swat. Even if I gave you the queen spot, you think you could handle it? Well. Tan Qingyun considered, shaking her head. I don't think so. That seat's too hot to handle. I'd rather be concubine Zhen. But brother, after you've mastered the hidden yang technique, you have to come to my place first. I'll give birth to the first prince of our Daning dynasty. Even if she can't be queen, Tan Qingyun really wants her son to be the emperor. The eldest prince has a better shot at the throne, Lu Changjing readily agreed. He'd promised imperial concubine Rong Xiao he'd visit her palace first, but he didn't say he'd favor her first. Even if he didn't go to Tan Qingyun's palace, he could still give her special attention in his study. Tan Qingyun was overjoyed. She fed Lu Changjing a huge bottle of fancy imported spirit milk before reluctantly heading out. Once Tan Qingyun was gone, Lu Changjing got straight to practice. The spirit energy in the imported spirit milk wasn't cheap, and he couldn't waste it. Running the Huangji Jingshi Ju, he quickly absorbed the spirit energy in the milk, turning it into pure Huangji Qi. This spirit milk comes from spirit beasts, and spirit beasts are basically demon kings, which are in line with the master state of the human race. It goes without saying that the spirit milk produced by his body is very effective and quite mild. Even warriors can take a small amount, let alone Lu Changjing, who is a dual master of qi refining and body refining. The large bottle of spirit milk increased his emperor qi by several %, and he was able to start forging his second spiritual vein. Xuanhuan didn't return by evening. Lu Changjing enjoyed the peace and quiet. After dinner, he went to his private chamber, locked the stone door, and began to cultivate. Instead of using magic elixirs, he took out a low-grade spirit stone. Curious to experience cultivating with spirit stones, he'd heard it was incredibly effective and gentle, so he wanted to try it out. He held the stone tightly, pulling the spirit energy within. Soon, the gurgling spirit energy flowed into Lu Changjing's body. It was gentler than spirit milk, but the quantity was much lower. Forget elixirs, it was gentler than anything he had tried. Lu Changjing quickly absorbed the entire low-grade spirit stone. He estimated it was worth a few months of hard training for an average master. No wonder it was so expensive. If you converted it into units in the previous life, the price of this low-grade spiritual stone was roughly equivalent to several billion yuan in the previous life. Even as the king of a country and the head of a dynasty, he would not dare to use spiritual stones to practice. Plus, even though the spirit energy was gentle, too much could make your foundation unstable. Unless you're like Lu Changjing, with a cheat code. His innate strength was like taking foundation building medicine every day, no side effects. It was invaluable and worth a fortune in spirit stones. As he leveled up, the cost would increase, requiring even more stones. Thanks to the immortal demonic body, Lu Changjing saved tons of resources. Ning Zhongyu's improvement was remarkable, but he burned through resources to consolidate his foundation. Otherwise, the royal vault would have been empty long ago. Any cultivator aiming for higher levels prioritizes a solid foundation. After absorbing one low-grade spirit stone, Lu Changjing grabbed another. Time was running out, and he needed to absorb as much spirit energy as possible. The Huangji Qi in his Dantian and first spiritual vein grew rapidly, nearing overflow in just hours. Lu Changjing immediately started forging his second spiritual vein, which would cover another tenth of his body. Once all 10 were complete, they'd cover nearly everything. That's the power of top-tier skills. Many ordinary skills, even with 10 veins, can't achieve that complete coverage, only a select few can. The Imperial Extreme Shocking World Art is one of them, but before forging, he had to break through the bottleneck. Lu Changjing popped an intermediate spirit pill for backup, then unleashed his Huangji True Qi, smashing into the bottleneck. He wasn't worried about hurting himself. Being 200 times stronger than average meant he could handle the impact. Other masters have to carefully and methodically impact the bottleneck dam and the physical condition, with different priorities, for fear of hurting the body, especially the spiritual veins and dantian, but Lu Changjing just brute-forced his way through, ignoring any potential damage. He was way more efficient. Half an hour later, with a roar, the bottleneck crumbled, and he could start forging his second spiritual vein. Chapter 42 Dual Subject Master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Imperial Qi was almost overflowing, ready to forge my second spiritual vein. I didn't waste any time, starting immediately. Forging a spiritual vein begins at the dantian, follows a set path around the body, and ends back at the dantian. From the dantian, it runs through the major organs, down to the base of the body, and lands in the left foot. The second spiritual vein was taking shape fast. I could feel my cultivation rising, and both my body and mind were getting stronger. I took another elixir. Nearing midnight, about a third of the second spiritual vein was complete. I paused. After midnight, my physical fitness would increase again. That increase would also stabilize my somewhat shaky cultivation base. Even minor damage from the intense process was completely healed. Now that my cultivation was stable, I needed to adjust to it. I decided to rest before fully embracing the boost. Even though the second spiritual vein wasn't fully forged, I was already qualified as a second-level master. It would take several days to finish forging the vein and more time to fully adjust, so I wasn't rushing to the next level. Qi refining cultivation improves quickly, but it burns through resources fast. I'd already used dozens of low-grade spiritual stones and several elixirs. On the plus side, I'd saved over a decade of practice. Forging a spiritual vein takes most masters at least that long, if not longer. Over the past few days, some of my concubines had heard about the property sales and came to comfort me, some even offering resources and treasures. I turned down most of them. Some concubines couldn't be trusted to keep things quiet. Even if I warned them, they might accidentally let something slip. Better to be safe. Otherwise, Xuanhuan would at best confiscate the stuff, or at worst, punish me severely. While adjusting to my qi refining cultivation, I focused even more on body refining. A drop of silver dragon blood could save me months of training. I'd been taking 1 or 2 drops a day, but now I upped it to 3 or 4. This stuff was a treasure, beneficial even to grandmasters. I was absorbing it like crazy, and my body refining cultivation was skyrocketing. In just a few days, I hit the peak of first-level grandmaster, right on the edge of breaking through. Before I did, I took 2 more drops of silver dragon blood. Feeling the spiritual blood surge, I started the breakthrough. Boom boom boom. Unlike qi refining, the body refining breakthrough was a noisy affair, like a raging flood battering a dam within me. For a warrior, every breakthrough is a crisis, but it's also the ultimate reward for training. Most warriors prepare extensively, mastering every technique of the exercises. It might seem like simple brute force, but the knowledge and skill involved could overwhelm a college student. Frankly, the methods and techniques a first-level body refining master needs to break through to. The second level could fill a book. The strength and method needed for each impact, the condition of the surrounding areas, the feedback from the bottleneck itself. It was enough to make anyone's head spin. Even with my incredible talent, those materials gave me a headache, let alone the average warrior. No wonder, with a population of over 1 billion, the Daning dynasty had fewer than 1,000 grandmasters. Boom! Suddenly, with a roar, the dam burst. The 5 elements of spiritual blood visibly grew stronger and purer, improving by several % before leveling off. Then, the 5 elements of spiritual blood flowed to every part of my body, refining and improving them. Strength, defense, speed, everything soared. When it was all over, my body training had reached the 2nd level Grandmaster. Warriors who reach Grandmaster in both Qi and body training are called dual-subject Grandmasters. If you also master spiritual training, balancing spirit, Qi, and body, you become a 3-subject or all-subject Grandmaster. For now, I was a dual-subject Grandmaster, and my fighting power far exceeded that of ordinary Grandmasters. Once I adjusted to my new strength and improved my royal sword skills and royal dragon steps, I'd dominate low-level Grandmasters and even challenge mid-level ones. Xuanhuan was only a 1st-level body training Grandmaster. I'd already surpassed him in that area, a few more levels, and I might be able to take him on. I smiled. Things were looking up. After midnight, I consolidated my foundation and my new strength, then rested. The next morning, before I'd trained for long or even read a few memorials, a tired-looking Xuanhuan walked in. The Qingyu County disaster relief is settled. I sold some more family property to get you some resources and money. Don't waste the Emperor's resources next time. If I don't want you dead, he'll come out of retreat and make me get rid of you. But so many concubines have been visiting. You didn't take anything. Xuanhuan was still bothered by it and couldn't help asking. I gave a wry smile and shook my head. Didn't you have people guarding outside? You should know better than anyone whether I took anything. Besides, the imperial study is small. You know it better than I do. If I'd hidden anything, you'd have found it by now. That's true. Xuanhuan thought for a moment. Too bad. If we could have accepted some, we'd be better off. Those ladies are loaded, especially the imperial noble consort, concubine Duan, and concubine Zhen. Seeing Xuanhuan, a great master, practically drooling, I thought, no wonder people say eunuchs are greedy. It seems true. Chapter 43. I recognize this Queen Mother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. To be honest, even if Xuanhuan hadn't sold off royal property, he could have easily found the funds to help Qingyu County. The county's relief was peanuts to someone as rich as Xuanhuan, but he chose to sell the royal family's stuff instead of dipping into his own pockets. That's how you know Eunuch Cao's loyalties. At least, he's not as devoted to Ning Zhongyu as everyone thinks. Maybe I can use this to my advantage later. Besides, Lu Changjing messed up, but Xuanhuan is even more to blame. If he'd told Lu Changjing up front that the royal treasury was empty, Lu Changjing wouldn't have agreed to Wang Xingdi sending relief to Qingyu County. Something went wrong, and Xuanhuan tried to pin the whole thing on Lu Changjing. Pretty shameless if you ask me. After chewing Lu Changjing out again and telling him to pay closer attention, Xuanhuan was about to leave. Looking annoyed. The Queen Mother is here. Before Xuanhuan could even step out of the imperial study, he heard the announcement. He quickly threw open the doors and invited the Queen Mother inside. The Queen Mother looked different today. She was wearing a yellow silk robe embroidered with phoenixes, a floor-length pink smoke gauze skirt, and soft emerald green gauze draped over her arms. Her hair was styled in a wind bun with a peony, giving her a delicate look with those arched eyebrows and spring-like aura. An emerald green sweater, a pleated skirt with scattered flowers and misty green grass, and a thin veil of green water made her shoulders look delicate and her skin glow. She was utterly charming. She didn't look like Ning Zhongyu's mother. You'd think she was his sister. I heard the Emperor is selling property for disaster relief. Is there anything I can do to help? Hua Yanqiu asked, looking concerned. So, she was here because of the situation too. Lu Changjing glanced at Xuanhuan, who pretended not to hear anything. If he hadn't just felt sorry for Lu Changjing for refusing the concubine's help, he might have actually thought Xuanhuan wasn't greedy. To keep Xuanhuan from snatching Hua Yanqiu's help, Lu Changjing shook his head. I appreciate your concern, Mother, but everything's under control. You don't need to worry. Xuanhuan frowned slightly, and a flicker of distress crossed his face, but worried that this might reflect badly on Ning Zhongyu, he didn't give Lu Changjing a power boost to get him to accept Hua Yanqiu's offer. Hua Yanqiu frowned slightly. Are you sure you don't need my help? Before the late emperor passed, he left me with a lot of things, including resources and treasures that you could use. Well. Lu Changjing glanced at Xuanhuan and reluctantly declined again. It's really not necessary. Please, mother, keep it. Lu Changjing could use pretty much anything Ning Zhongyu could, too bad that deadbeat eunuch Xuanhuan was standing right there, or he would have definitely taken it. He would have also asked Hua Yanqiu to keep things quiet. The queen mother might be charming, but she wasn't bad. At least she knew how to keep a secret. Alright, if you don't need help, I'll be going. Seeing Lu Changjing's repeated refusals, Hua Yanqiu didn't push it and left the imperial study with several palace maids, smack, 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 star. As soon as Hua Yanqiu was gone, Xuanhuan couldn't resist blasting Lu Changjing with a few blasts of air, then turned around and left. Xuanhuan didn't say why he was punishing Lu Changjing, but it was obvious that Chief Eunuch's greed had kicked in again. He just didn't dare enough to actually ask Lu Changjing to accept Hua Yanqiu's help. Soon as Xuanhuan left, Lu Changjing recovered from his injuries and went back to practicing and getting stronger. But before long, he heard the side window open, and a graceful figure slipped into the imperial study, kneeling before Lu Changjing. Your Majesty, Qing'er is here. Lu Changjing looked up and saw Qing'er in light green underwear with a light pink vest. Morning glory tattoos on her collar and chest made her especially alluring. In terms of looks, Qing'er was right up there with Tan Qingyun and Lin Yisan, but she didn't have the same vibe. Looking at Qing'er, Lu Changjing was reminded of a character from a TV show he'd watched in his previous life. The two were pretty similar. She was the Queen Mother's maid, and one of Hua Yanqiu's most trusted. Besides being beautiful, she also knew Kung Fu. At just over 20, she was already a master of pulse casting, with a spiritual weapon. Even some mid to high-level masters would have trouble with her. Sneaking into the imperial study wouldn't be hard for her. Lu Changjing waved his hand for her to rise. Did the Queen Mother send you? Yes, the Queen Mother asked me to deliver some things. Qing'er placed a brocade bag in front of Lu Changjing, then turned and backed away. I'll be leaving now. The Queen Mother said that this is just between the three of us. Please keep it safe. Watching Qing'er disappear, Lu Changjing felt surprised and touched. He hadn't expected the Queen Mother to be so kind. He'd figured things would be awkward between her and Ning Zhongyu. After all, they were supposed to be mother and son, but they were only 3 years apart. Lu Changjing felt weird calling her mother every time. He opened the brocade bag. Inside were 200 low-grade spiritual stones, enough to last him a long time. There were also some elixirs, but what really excited Lu Changjing was a bottle of calming pills. These were high-level, and super-rare elixirs that boosted spiritual power. Lu Changjing had gotten a lot of gifts, but never an elixir or treasure that could enhance spiritual power. That's how rare it was. Hua Yanqiu had given him a bottle of 10 pills. Such generosity made Lu Changjing's jaw drop. The Queen Mother was awesome. For the sake of this bottle of calming pills, calling her Queen Mother didn't seem so bad after all. It almost felt intimate. He should probably build a better relationship with her. If he could come and go freely, he could visit her more often. Maybe he could get more goodies like calming pills. With this bottle of calming pills, Lu Changjing saw a chance to cultivate spirit, energy, and body together. That night, back in his secluded room with the stone door locked, Lu Changjing immediately took out a tranquilizing pill, ready to try it. He wondered how much this high-level elixir would raise his spiritual power. 2 or 3 small realms shouldn't be a problem. P.S. Dear parents, please read it. The newbies really need it. *******. Chapter 44 The Emperor sells official positions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The immortal demon body's physical enhancement is comprehensive, unlike targeted physical training, which often neglects certain areas. For example, external training primarily strengthens the skin, muscles, and tendons, while internal training focuses on organs, bone marrow, and blood, but this method is different. Every day, all areas get stronger, even down to your spiritual C. Right now, Lu Changjing's spiritual C is over 100 times tougher than the average person's. For warriors at his level, even reaching dozens of times the average is considered impressive. because of this, even though his Royal Extreme Dragon Soul Sutra is only at the 6th level, equivalent to a 6th level warrior, he can handle the potency of a high-level spiritual pill like the Dingxin pill, otherwise, he wouldn't dare. To take it, he swallowed a Dingxin pill, and it immediately dissolved into a surge of spiritual energy, rushing straight for his spiritual sea. Lu Changjing quickly activated the Royal Extreme Dragon Soul Sutra, rapidly absorbing and processing the medicinal power, turning it into pure Royal Extreme spiritual energy. Bang, bang, bang. Any medicinal power he couldn't immediately absorb reverberated in his spiritual sea, causing tremors. However, it didn't cause any damage. His spiritual sea is already comparable to many great masters, so this little impact was nothing to worry about. Whoosh! Like a whale gulping down water, Lu Changjing consumed as much of the Dingxin pill's energy as possible, unconcerned about destabilizing his foundation. Bang! In just over half an hour, he reached the peak of the 6th level, then immediately smashed through the bottleneck, advancing to the 7th. The Dingxin pill still had a lot of power left, so Lu Changjing kept absorbing it, breaking through level after level, 8th level, 9th level, all the way to the 10th level. In mere hours, the Imperial Dragon Soul Sutra had skyrocketed through 4 levels, reaching nearly perfect level 10. The next step, breaking through to level 11, would mean Lu Changjing's spiritual power would reach master level. He would then be qualified to be called a master of all trades, cultivating spirit, energy, and body simultaneously, leaving no weaknesses, able to handle any situation, making him more terrifying than any demon or monster. It truly is better to be an emperor, with all the resources and treasures at your fingertips, especially an emperor who's living the good life, happily using the pill's remaining power. He stabilized his cultivation. With the bonus from his increased physical fitness after midnight, he thoroughly reinforced his spiritual foundation, ensuring there were no lingering effects. When he takes the next Dingxin pill, odds are he'll break through and boost his spiritual cultivation to the master level. However, his spiritual power had increased so rapidly that he needed to adjust to it, like he did with his physical and chi training. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to control his spiritual power, and even his basic abilities would suffer. Now that he reached the 10th level of the Imperial Dragon Soul Sutra, he could easily detect all movement within 10 meters around him. It was like having a 360-degree field of vision, perfect for countering ambushes. He could even sense things several meters underground, a comprehensive defense. If he could elevate his spiritual power to the Grandmaster level, relying on the formidable Imperial spiritual energy, he should surpass Xuanhuan's skills and be able to anticipate Chao's movements and detect his power. He smiled faintly, soaked in the water of the Millennium Jade Spring, and then went to bed to rest. He got up an hour later and continued practicing, not wanting to waste a single second. He rose on time, using the time to read memorials, but also focused on circulating his true chi and spiritual blood. From time to time, he released the 4th calamity of the Emperor to adapt to the spiritual power, busy but fulfilling, especially the feeling of rapid growth in both cultivation and combat prowess. It's intoxicating. What's more, this is literally life or death, which makes Lu Changjing even more motivated. Even in the lead-up to college entrance exams in his past life, he hadn't worked this hard. Plus, there's the romance aspect, which makes it even more exciting. The Minister of Personnel requests to see His Majesty. Not long after breakfast, he heard the announcement from outside. Lu Changjing frowned, pondered for a moment, and instructed the guards to let the Minister of Personnel in. Soon, the official entered, wearing a slashed shoulder crown, a long robe with wide sleeves, and a jade belt fastened around his waist with a knight-shining pearl. Your Majesty, it is an honor to see you. Zhao Jintian, the Minister of Personnel, bowed deeply. Lu Changjing waved his hand. Rise, Minister. What brings you here today? Well. Zhao Jintian hesitated, then lowered his voice. Your Majesty, do you recall the Lingji pill from a few months ago? You promised me that if I could find a bottle and make sufficient contributions, you would appoint my brother as the governor of Yinshan County. He then presented a bottle of Lingji pill. Your Majesty, here is the Lingji pill. I have fulfilled my mission. After months of negotiations with the monsters in the lower reaches of the Huangsha River, I finally acquired a bottle. He's selling an official position. Lu Changjing was shocked. He couldn't believe Ning Zhongyu was brazen enough to peddle positions that are essential to the country, and he even made a deal with the Minister of Personnel. Judging by Zhao Jintian's smooth actions, he's likely done this countless times. However, Lu Changjing couldn't tell if trading the Lingji pill for the governor's position was genuine. If it was, fine. If it wasn't, agreeing would likely expose his true identity. Hesitating, Lu Changjing told him to hold on to the Lingji pill. He'd give Zhao Jintian an answer in a few days. Seeing that Lu Changjing didn't immediately agree, Zhao Jintian was slightly surprised but didn't say anything. He stayed for a short while, then took his leave. It was very likely that Zhao Jintian was in cahoots with Ning Zhongyu and Xuanhuan. They secretly colluded with demons, brutally suppressing the common people, even selling them to demons to obtain resources and treasures. It's easy to assume the Lingji pill was acquired illicitly. It was probably obtained in exchange for human flesh, but with the golden finger, Lu Changjing doesn't need the Lingji pill. Even if he did, he wouldn't use it to pay for an official position. As lunchtime approached, Xuanhuan arrived at the imperial study. Chapter 45. This is my territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Words out that Zhao Jintian is here. Xuanhuan asked the second he shut the door to the imperial study. Lu Changjing nodded, pointing to the Lingji pills on the table. Zhao Jintian claims Your Majesty promised him a few months back that if he got his hands on a bottle, he'd give his younger brother, Zhao Yindi, the position of Yinshan County Magistrate. Does that ring a bell, Lord Chao? Yinshan County Magistrate? Xuanhuan's expression shifted. Zhao Jintian's willing to swap one of the richest counties for a single bottle of those pills. That's greedy, even for him. The name Yinshan alone speaks to the wealth the county holds. Even in the Daning dynasty, with its hundreds of counties, Yinshan consistently ranks among the wealthiest. To Xuanhuan, the deal looked like a raw deal. So, we turn him down? Lu Changjing inquired. Xuanhuan paused, then said, We need to confirm if there's any truth to this claim with His Majesty first. Once we have his answer, we can decide whether to agree or not. As he spoke, Xuanhuan picked up the bottle of Lingji pills and turned to leave. You handled this well, though. Good call not agreeing right away. It leaves us some wiggle room. After Xuanhuan left, Lu Changjing refocused, doubling down on his cultivation. After all, if he didn't quickly improve his cultivation level and let snakes like Xuanhuan and Zhao Jintian run wild, the Daning dynasty was toast. He needed to be strong enough to deal with these termites before they could do irreversible damage. In Lu Changjing's mind, the Daning dynasty was already his. He couldn't let Xuanhuan, Zhao Jintian, or even Ning Zhongyu run roughshod over it, collaborating with demons, selling official positions, embezzling the national treasury. Any one of those things would be digging at the foundations of the Daning dynasty, and Lu Changjing wouldn't stand for it. More training. He still needed more training. He'd been planning to take it easy for a while, but after this little episode, Lu Changjing was ready to keep chugging elixirs and magic medicines to level up as fast as possible. With enough resources at his fingertips, he'd refine chi, body, and spirit. As for the memorials, he'd set aside half an hour a day to go over them, and spend the rest of the time cultivating. It just so happened that Xuanhuan was also swamped with work these days, and Lu Changjing, as the fake emperor, was getting better at the act, so he wasn't around as much. This gave Lu Changjing plenty of time and energy to train and improve. The days flew by, and Lu Changjing's cultivation was advancing at an astonishing rate, but before he could break through to the third-level master, the question of the spiritual base pill came up again. The edict's been issued. You can proceed accordingly. In the Hall of Supreme Harmony, Lu Changjing sat on the dragon throne as Xuanhuan loudly announced a series of edicts. Among them was one appointing Zhao Yindi as the governor of Yinshan County. This was only Lu Changjing's second time attending court, and nothing significant had happened. The only event of note was the appointment of several senior officials. After hearing Zhao Yindi's name, and that he was to be the governor of Yinshan County, the expressions of many in the court shifted. It was no secret that Zhao Yindi was Zhao Jintian's younger brother. No one believed there wasn't some shady dealing going on. Fortunately, Zhao Jintian took the initiative to step forward at that moment, declaring that kinship should not be a barrier when selecting virtuous individuals, easing the awkwardness and silencing those officials who'd been about to speak up. The deal was sealed and the imperial seal stamped. His Majesty had already agreed, and Zhao Jintian was in full support. There was no point in arguing, especially if it meant offending Zhao Jintian and His Majesty. Better to stay quiet. Wei Shangang didn't even bring up teaching the Xuanhuan tribe a lesson this time. He kept his eyes lowered, not saying a word. Lu Changjing was happy to avoid another argument. If he didn't handle it right, he could be exposed. The rest were minor matters, and Lu Changjing dealt with most of them directly, slightly improving his reputation as the Emperor of Procrastination. Morning court lasted for a little over an hour before adjourning. Lu Changjing, surrounded by Chao Wenzheng and the others, left the Hall of Supreme Harmony and returned to the imperial study, where he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Many of the civil and military officials at court were great masters, and it put a lot of pressure on him. If he let a single slip show, the consequences could be severe. At the very least, he'd get a lecture from Chao Wenzheng. At worst, he'd be revealed as a fake emperor. How could Lu Changjing afford to be careless? If he hadn't been forced to, he wouldn't have set foot in the court to begin with. Today's morning court wasn't bad. Many good decisions were made, Chao Wenzheng said, pleased. Although there was still a long way to go to shed the label of the emperor who shirks his responsibilities, considering this was only Lu Changjing's second time attending court, making so many decisions without any mistakes was remarkable. With so many civil and military officials present, including great masters even more powerful than himself, the fact that he hadn't been exposed was impressive. Chao Wenzheng planned to let Ning Zhongyu know about this, so the fake emperor could last until the real one was ready to reveal himself. That way, if Ning Zhongyu needed to step away temporarily, Lu Changjing could hold down the fort, preventing a lot of potential trouble. After the second morning pilgrimage, Lu Changjing would have a peaceful stretch, at least for half a month, to concentrate on his cultivation. That amount of time was more than enough for Lu Changjing to make substantial progress. 10 days later, Lu Changjing's qi refining cultivation reached the second-level master level, and he was ready to hit third level. The first-level grandmaster to the third-level grandmaster are low-level masters. After entering the third-level master level, the next level is the fourth-level grandmaster, which corresponds to the intermediate-level grandmaster. Although he was still adapting to his current qi refining level, that didn't stop Lu Changjing from breaking through. After Chao Wenzheng shoved him into a secret room and sealed the stone door, Lu Changjing immediately began his assault on the third-level master realm. No need for elaborate preparations. He simply mobilized his massive Huangji qi and charged it toward the bottleneck. As the most potent qi force in the Daning dynasty, known throughout the Chinese world for its sharpness and power, Huangji Xinqi had a huge advantage when it came to breaking through barriers. Of course, if the spiritual veins and dantian weren't strong enough, that advantage would become a massive liability. Luckily, with his immortal demonic body, Lu Changjing had a unique advantage. As sharp as Huangji qi was, it couldn't damage his spiritual veins and dantian. Chapter 46 Breaking Through the Barriers is like drinking water. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Changjing's way of busting through plateaus was something else compared to other fighters. While most masters approached those blockades like they were weaving lace, super careful and worried about screwing up, Lu Changjing was more like a construction worker demolishing a building, hitting it hard, again and again, like he was afraid he wouldn't break through. But turns out, this brute force method was paying off big time. Way more than the regular approach. Just half an hour in, and the dam holding him back was already shaking, like it was about to give way. Even though it looked like he was just muscling his way through, Lu Changjing knew all the ins and outs of a standard breakthrough. It might have seemed like chaos to outsiders, but every punch landed right on the weak spots. He just had way more power than most, so it wasn't just raw strength like it looked. Otherwise, he wouldn't be breaking through so consistently. You see, strong guys fail at this stuff all the time. Cultivation wasn't some joke. It was a million times more complicated than anything you learn in school. To put it simply, if high school was a 1 on the difficulty scale, mastering your skills was at least a 1000, maybe even more, and the risks for grandmasters were way higher than acing a test. You practically never get hurt in school, let alone put your life on the line, but being a grandmaster, forget about it. Whether you're practicing or breaking through, one slip up and you're in serious trouble, especially trying to advance. Failing could mean anything from a minor setback to straight up death, and it happens more than you'd think. That's why Lu Changjing took no chances. He planned everything out before each attempt. Honestly, even without his special abilities, he had a pretty good shot at succeeding on his own. Boom! Just like that, the dam collapsed, and Lu Changjing leveled up, 3rd level Grandmaster, baby. With a grin, he started getting used to his newfound strength and building up energy to forge his 3rd spiritual vein. Another half hour went by, and after draining the 10th low-grade spiritual stone, boom, 3rd vein completed. Still plenty of time before midnight, so he kept grinding. His body was getting stronger by the minute, and his 3rd spiritual vein was already 2 kilometers long. That's moving fast. Like your core, these veins are kinda real, kinda not. I mean, no one's got room inside them for something that huge otherwise. Lu Changjing knew his first 2 veins were about 3 fingers thick already, but most 3rd level guys only have veins the width of 1 finger. That's one beefy vein. No way that thing would fit inside him if it wasn't partly just in his mind. Even his brand new 3rd vein was already halfway to a finger thick, all thanks to his jacked physique. Normally, a newbie's 3rd vein would be thinner than a piece of straw. Midnight rolled around, and Lu Changjing's body got another power-up. His skills, which were a little shaky before, now locked into place, solid as a rock. Better than popping a ton of those spiritual foundation pills. As his skills and body kept getting better, this boost would only get bigger. Eventually, no amount of pills could compare. Those spiritual foundation pills that Ning Zhongyu had busted his butt for, maybe even risking his job, were just everyday goodies for Lu Changjing. After getting settled, Lu Changjing hopped into the 1,000-year-old jade spring water and kicked back. At his level, an hour of rest was plenty. Not long after hitting 3rd level Grandmaster, Lu Changjing went after his next physical plateau, thanks to some superpowered blood, under the impact of nearly 20 drops of silver dragon blood. His physical progress was about to catch up with his skills. About a half an hour later, boom, he blew right through it, hitting 3rd level mastery. His blood, tissues, muscles, tendons, everything was getting a major upgrade. Every time he hit a new level, it was like a total makeover, but still not as good as his special abilities, at least not yet. Like, when he leveled up his body, his manhood didn't grow at all. But when his basic physique got a little better each day, it grew like 0.001 millimeters. If he kept that up, he'd be packing some serious heat someday. What made Lu Changjing even happier was that this breakthrough, along with his daily improvements, was also boosting his natural gifts. He was getting closer and closer to mastering his special move. At this rate, he'd get it in about a year. Ning Zhongyu, a 1 in a million genius, took years to master the same thing, but Lu Changjing lucked out and did it in a few months. His energy was getting stronger and stronger, flowing through him and boosting his physical skills. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten this far so fast, especially when it hit certain areas. The effects were insane. Even though his immortal demon body was awesome, there were still some things it couldn't handle yet. Maybe he'd unlock similar abilities later on. If so, he would be on another level. With this special gift, Lu Changjing felt like he could handle anything, even a huge harem. Hey bro, what ya doin'? The next afternoon, Lu Changjing was enjoying the power coursing through him, and couldn't help but notice something exciting happening down south, when he heard Lin Yisan's voice. Chapter 47, Master of All Disciplines. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Changjing yanked his hand back. He'd meant to greet Lin Yisan, but remembering the, reaction she caused, he pretended to be engrossed in a memorial. This thing's a mess. Trying to figure out what to do with it. But hey, since you're here, sis, I can put it aside. Ah, you love me. Grinning, Lin Yisan threw her arms around Lu Changjing, who had to quickly, and discreetly, rein in his good brother. Holding her close, Lu Changjing suddenly felt drained, so he distracted himself by letting Lin Yisan feed him those fancy imported bananas. These Ling bananas tasted especially good after being imported. Nothing like the regular ones. Probably only in this imperial study could you get the real deal. You running low on cash, big bro? Want me to ask Dad to send some more? Lin Yisan asked, concerned. As she kept feeding him the bananas, she thought he'd been acting a little different lately, but honestly, she liked this version of him better. Lu Changjing knew that if his situation with Lin Yisan and Tan Qingyun ever came to light, it wouldn't just be trouble. It'd be life-threatening. For all of them, that's why he was training so hard. Not just for himself, but for his two sweethearts. Yeah, it was a weird kind of love, but he couldn't deny he was into it. No begging, no fighting, no drama. Just pure affection, no need to worry about rent, a car, or a ring. Hell, they were basically married already. All that was left was the honeymoon and the kids. Being emperor definitely had its perks. He could get used to this. After Lin Yisan swiped the last banana from his mouth for the 12th time, the food container was empty. Seeing that it was getting late, she reluctantly took her leave. Now relaxed, Lu Changjing felt even more pumped to train, especially thinking about how, after replacing Ning Zhongyu, all those palaces and courtyards would be his for the taking. The next night, both Lu Changjing's Jingmu Jia and Jin Gang Jia leveled up, meaning he'd adapted to the skyrocketing spiritual power and could keep popping those Dingxin pills to break through. No time to waste. Lu Changjing slammed the stone door shut and swallowed the second Dingxin pill. Bam! The potent medicinal power surged through him. Knowing what to expect this time made it easier to handle. After about a cup of tea, he hit level 10 of the Huangji Dragon Soul Sutra. Time to smash through the bottleneck. It had been 130 days since Lu Changjing had crossed over, and the immortal demon body alone had pumped up his physical fitness by 130 points, add in the boost from hitting level 3 as a body refinement master, and Lu Changjing's physique was nearly 300 times that of a regular person. His insane physical condition meant his spiritual C's defenses were off the charts, and his spiritual power was way purer and stronger than other cultivators at his level. Plus, the imperial spiritual power was sharp and powerful. So yeah, the bottleneck was tough, but nothing he couldn't handle. Boom. Boom. Buzz. But during the assault on the bottleneck, he must have pulled too much spiritual power. No damage to the spiritual C, but his head started buzzing like crazy. Better to be safe. Lu Changjing dialed it back a notch. Even then, it was still way better than the average cultivator trying to break through to the master spiritual level. Compared to breaking through as a chi refining master or body refining master, doing it as a spirit refining master was way more dangerous. Best case scenario, you end up a vegetable. Worst case, you die. Even though he knew his spiritual power wasn't likely to hurt the spiritual C, Lu Changjing still took it slow and easy. Boom. 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 Bang. Who knows how long it took? Just when the calming pill was about to wear off, cracks appeared on the path to the spirit master level. Crack, crack, crack. With a sound like shattering glass, the bottleneck crumbled, and Lu Changjing's spiritual power surged into a new dimension. The quality skyrocketed. In just a few breaths, his imperial spiritual power was several times better than before. No comparison, then came the quantity. It only doubled, but with the quality boost, the overall power was easily 10 times greater. From then on, Lu Changjing's body refinement, chi refinement, and spirit refinement, all three busted through their shackles and hit the master level. He was a triple threat master, or, as some people preferred, a full subject master. The imperial exams of the Daning dynasty were divided into civil and military subjects. So, a dual subject master was good at both. Above average, a 3-subject master was off the charts. He was eligible to be called a full subject master. Demons and ghosts run the show at their level because of their killer body training. Ghosts and monsters are the same because of their spirit training. Humans just barely scrape by with their chi, but humans are also the easiest to train in multiple disciplines, which makes them unique. Of course, it's no walk in the park. Look at the whole dynasty. Hundreds of masters, but only a few full subject masters. And they're all old guys with no hope of improving anymore. Even if these old masters trained in spirit, energy, and spirit, they usually focused on one area. They were best at chi, while their body and spirit training lagged way behind. Take Xuanhuan. His chi cultivation was at the grandmaster level, but his body cultivation had only just reached the master realm. As for his spirit cultivation, Not even a master. Still a step behind, seemed close, but it was a world away. Decades ago, Xuanhuan's spirit cultivation was already close to master level. Decades later, he was still stuck there. So, Lu Changjing's situation was unbelievably rare. Almost unheard of. Especially among the younger generation in the Daning dynasty, he had to thank the immortal demon body for that. Otherwise, Lu Changjing wouldn't dare to go nuts with all those elixirs and treasures. His talent kept growing, and he could improve so fast. Once he'd stabilized his spirit cultivation, Lu Changjing channeled some spiritual power to check out his surroundings. He could only scan about 10 meters around him, but the effect was way better. If the old scan was like watching a blurry black and white TV, now it was high-def black and white. He could actually see things clearly. Suddenly, Lu Changjing's eyes narrowed. Chapter 48 Soul-Picking Secret Scripture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the imperial study, it held more books than any other private collection in the entire Daning dynasty, tens of thousands at least. In a world where books and knowledge were so highly valued, that was enough to leave most people speechless. Lu Changjing had spent hours reading here, but he'd never noticed the secret hidden behind the books. If he hadn't reached the Grandmaster level with his spiritual power, and hadn't been browsing the shelves for days, he would have never spotted it. The bottom of the sixth slot on the second shelf was raised a hair's breadth, maybe a few millimeters. Nobody would ever notice something that small, and even if they did, they wouldn't think anything of it, but Lu Changjing felt something was off. This was the Emperor's study, for crying out loud. Everything was meticulously crafted. A difference of even half a millimeter was unheard of, so, this shelf was off by a few. If you didn't suspect something, you were a fool. After a moment, Lu Changjing checked the area, making sure nobody was coming. Then, he went to the shelf and gently touched it. Click. He carefully pried with his true energy and the shelf popped open, revealing a thin piece of gold leaf underneath. He quickly grabbed the foil, returned the shelf to its original position, and went back to his seat to examine it. Soul-Picking Secret Scripture, Unknown Magic, Spiritual Secret Skills, Lu Changjing was stunned, staring at the gold foil in disbelief. He hadn't expected something this powerful. He didn't know exactly what level it was, but the name alone was enough to tell him it was extraordinary. Definitely above ordinary, spiritual or even divine arts. The highest level he knew was the top divine art level. He didn't even know what came after that. And this gold foil recorded it. If this got out, it wouldn't just be him in danger, but the whole Daning dynasty. He wondered if Ning Zhongyu had hidden it here, or the emperor before him. The Daning dynasty was a top-tier dynasty for a reason. Its foundation was deeper than anyone knew, and it even had treasures like this. Lu Changjing shook his head and began to memorize the tiny characters on the foil. It took him over 2 hours to commit it all to memory. As his physical fitness improved, so did his natural talent. Memory, comprehension, understanding, everything was through the roof. He couldn't remember everything yet, but he was getting close. The gold foil contained tens of thousands of words, divided into 3 secret arts: soul-picking, soul-stealing, and soul-changing. Soul-picking could create a soul-picking hook. With it, he could snatch away the souls of warriors at the same level, imprisoning a wisp of it in the hook, effectively enslaving them. If they disobeyed, a single thought could obliterate their souls. The hook could also sense their thoughts. If they even thought about betraying him, he could punish them in advance, or just wipe them out. It was the ultimate control technique. The only downside was that the soul-picking hook was incredibly sharp and put a ton of pressure on the spiritual sea. One wrong move, and he could damage his own mind, and each soul fragment he took made it harder to maintain control. The only way to break free was to either have skills that far surpassed the soul-picking technique, or spiritual power 100 times stronger than Lu Changjing's. Neither was exactly easy. Soul-stealing allowed him to steal memories and thoughts from the minds of other warriors, especially skills and techniques that were normally restricted. He could bypass those limitations and silently obtain their secrets. Which was incredibly useful. Soul-changing allowed him to alter or erase someone's memories. All 3 were useful, and perfect for his current situation. Their scope and depth exceeded anything he'd ever learned, even the imperial divine art. This was a game changer. Lu Changjing quickly returned the soul-picking secret scripture to its hiding place. If Ning Zhongyu had left it, he would know if Lu Changjing had memorized its contents, and he'd definitely be in trouble. His next goal was to master the soul-picking art. Once he had the soul-picking hook, he could enslave Xuanhuan. That old eunuch was scared to death of dying. If Lu Changjing could just hook a piece of his soul, he'd have him eating out of his hand, and even if he couldn't get a piece of Xuanhuan, he could grab a bit of Cao Shuyuan's soul outside the imperial study. Then he'd have someone who only listened to him, making things much easier. If he could steal a bit of Ning Zhongyu's soul later, he could take over the entire Daning dynasty and become the real emperor. Ning Zhongyu wouldn't just be his enemy, he'd be his pawn, helping him run the dynasty. Or, he could just make Ning Zhongyu his puppet. Of course, he'd have to castrate him first, just to be safe. This magic couldn't have come at a better time. Lu Changjing never knew there was such a powerful technique in the world. Soon, he started to learn and practice the soul-picking technique. It had some side effects, sure, but nothing Lu Changjing couldn't handle with his superhuman physique. He could probably handle not one, but 2 or 3 hooks, maybe more. It could create up to 9 soul-picking hooks, enough to enslave 9 powerful practitioners. Even if they were stronger than him, he could control them, as long as their mental strength wasn't more than 100 times his own. Now that he was a grandmaster of spirit refining, Lu Changjing's mental power was already stronger than most other grandmasters. In theory, with his current strength, he could even snatch a piece of a grandmaster's soul and use them for his own ends. The Daning dynasty's strongest fighters were the 10th level grandmasters. If he could enslave 9 of them, he wouldn't have to fear anything, even if his true identity was exposed. Smiling, Lu Changjing immersed himself in practice, losing track of time. The soul-picking technique was complicated, but Lu Changjing's talent was off the charts, so he was picking it up quickly. He'd probably be ready to start practicing it in just a few days, and when he created the first soul-picking hook, it would be time to make his move. Chapter 49 Coveting the Queen #039, Exposition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Lu Changjing grasped the soul-picking technique and started visualizing the soul-picking hook, he learned that envoys from the mountain barbarians had arrived. To avoid looking suspicious, he, as the king, would receive them at the morning court the next day. Xuanhuan briefed Lu Changjing before the assembly. The mountain barbarians are among the top contenders of the 10 barbarian tribes in the south. They live by hunting and roaming the mountains. Their home is the Fulong Mountains, a range stretching for thousands of miles, nearly all controlled by them. That shows you their power. Though they only number in the tens of millions, they boast nearly 10 grand masters and about 300 masters. They excel at fighting in mountainous terrain. Our dynasty has tried many times to wipe them out in the Fulong Mountains, but we've always failed and ended up having to arrange marriages to appease them. They have 3 signature skills: the Green Demon True Body, a basic body refining art, the Shadowless Arrow technique, an intermediate technique, and the Divine Hidden Scripture, said to be advanced. Together, they form a potent fighting system. Xuanhuan detailed all this to Lu Changjing to prevent him from making a mistake during the court session. After more than an hour of explanation, they headed for the Hall of Supreme Harmony. The dragon chariot swayed, surrounded by a dramatic procession of eunuchs, guards, and palace maids. Inside the hall, all the officials were present. The mountain barbarian envoys were also waiting outside for Lu Changjing's arrival. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live the Emperor. Lu Changjing, seated on the dragon throne, accepted their obeisance and then summoned the mountain barbarian envoys. A group entered the hall, dressed in typical mountain barbarian attire. They wore green headscarves, long robes with large skirts, necklaces of snakes and insects, and green straw sandals. Their animal hide armor was also green. A wave of barbaric energy filled the Hall of Supreme Harmony. The lead envoy, an old man, was short and swarthy with sunken eyes, a mountain barbarian through and through. But Zhai Fongingfa was also a leader of the 3 mountain barbarian tribes, a 10th level pulse-casting Grand Master in Qi refinement, a level he'd reached years ago. His body refinement was that of a 4th level master. Using the Green Devil True Body, he could transform into a several-meter-tall green giant with incredible fighting power. Lu Changjing was reminded of the Hulk from a movie back in his old life. There were similarities: his spiritual strength, if Lu Changjing wasn't mistaken, was at the master level, but only first level. Even so, he was one of the strongest in the Hall of Supreme Harmony, far beyond Lu Changjing's current capabilities and even surpassing Cao Wenjing. What truly rankled the officials was that Zhai Fangyingfa wore a yellow dragon robe, dragging it on the floor in a disrespectful manner. In the Daning dynasty, only Lu Changjing, the emperor, could wear a yellow dragon robe. Zhai Fangying's choice was a blatant insult. Many ministers scowled. They hadn't even issued a warning to the barbarians, and the barbarians were already warning them. Greetings, Emperor Daning. Entering the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the mountain barbarian envoys offered a perfunctory salute, showing little respect. Lu Changjing waved a hand, but before he could tell them to rise, they straightened up on their own, ignoring his authority. What brings you to Bai Yujing? Lu Changjing asked calmly, playing the part of Ning Zhongyu. He expected some preliminary exchanges, but the mountain barbarian envoys were blunt. Zhai Fangying stepped forward and said, "We heard that Emperor Daning plans to choose the harem in 3 years and stop being a monk emperor. Our king offers the 7 saints in marriage, to become your queen and bear you a prince." Silence fell over the Hall of Supreme Harmony, followed by an uproar of protests. Impossible! How could a barbarian saint be worthy of being queen of Daning? Our country is vast. She's not even fit to be a concubine, let alone queen. The barbarians are greedy. They not only want the queen's position but also the throne. Faced with the officials' uproar, the mountain barbarian envoys' expressions shifted, some struggling against the building anger and momentum. Except for Zhai Fangyingfa, all of them were only mid-level or high-level grandmasters. They couldn't withstand the combined fury. Humph. Seeing his companions buckle, Zhai Fangyingfa's expression changed slightly. He snorted and released his immense power, clashing with the combined momentum of the ministers. The Hall of Supreme Harmony reverberated with a faint ringing, and a gust of wind swept through. Seeing this, the ministers increased their output of energy, but then Lu Changjing's voice echoed from the dragon throne, "This matter requires careful consideration. The queen's position impacts Daning's future. We will consult with the court and the people. Aside from this, is there anything else? If not, we will adjourn." His words eased the tension in the hall. The sides glared at each other before slowly withdrawing their power. The mountain barbarian envoy stepped forward again. "Our king invites Emperor Daning to hunt in the Zama blood forest. Many blood beasts have appeared there, offering excellent opportunities for martial practice. Our king will share 90% of the captured beasts, ensuring Emperor Daning will profit. The leader of the mountain barbarians is called the Mountain Barbarian King, mirroring the emperor's status in the Daning dynasty. The Zama blood forest is the ancestral land of the Blood Barbarian tribe, another of the 10 barbarians, larger than the Fulong Mountains. The Blood Barbarians are known for their warlike nature, the most aggressive of the 10. The mountain barbarians' invitation to hunt in the Zama blood forest is suspicious. There's likely conflict between the 2 tribes, and it is significant. Why else would the mountain barbarians dare to hunt in Blood Barbarian territory? It's almost an act of war. Chapter 50. The fight is about to begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What do you mean by hunting? Are you just running to us in the Daning dynasty because you can't handle the blood barbarians kicking your butts? Fine, then hand over 90% of your harvest to us, the Daning dynasty. You still want to keep 90% for yourselves? You've got some nerve. Before Lu Changjing could speak, Wei Shangang, the counselor who had it out for the mountain barbarian tribe, scoffed and started airing their dirty laundry, making the Xuanhuan envoys squirm. What did you say? Some 2-bit advisor thinks he can insult our mountain barbarian saint clan. The pigtailed envoy's face went red. The blood barbarians might be tough, but we mountain barbarians gave them a beating so bad they had to retreat back to the Zama blood forest. Now we're gearing up to hunt in the Zama blood forest. We can take down the blood barbarians without your Daning's help. Ha! Wei Shangang sneered again. Unless my spies are completely off base, the fight between you mountain barbarians and the blood barbarians started when those blood beasts from the Zama blood forest wandered into the Fulong Mountains. You mountain barbarians thought that since the blood beasts wandered into your territory, they were yours. The blood barbarians came in and killed them in the Fulong Mountains, leaving you with thousands wounded and not a single blood beast. The blood barbarians walked away with all the beasts and a ton of your supplies and treasures. You didn't beat the blood barbarians into a panicked retreat. They beat you and casually strolled away. Now you don't have the guts to get revenge on the blood barbarians, so you want to drag us, the Daning dynasty, into it. If you're here to beg for help, then lose the attitude, kiss the ring when you need to, get on your knees when you need to. Maybe then we in Daning will take pity and send a few warriors your way. Insolent, that the braided Xuanhuan envoy roared the instant Wei Shangang finished, his aura of a high-level master flaring, ready to teach Wei Shangang a lesson, but before he could make a move, Tai Cha, standing in front of Wei Shangang, snorted coldly, releasing an even more terrifying aura that crushed him. Not seeing this, Zhai Fangingfa, who already looked pretty ticked off, also released his aura, targeting Tai Cha. Other barbarian envoys around him looked ready to jump in. Daning and Xuanhuan are neighbors. Good fences make good neighbors, as they say. Fighting and killing is just uncivilized. Lu Changjing spoke up again, defusing the situation and giving both sides a way out. After all, this was the heart of the Daning dynasty. You couldn't just throw down in the Hall of Supreme Harmony. Even if they won, the court officials would be embarrassed, and losing wasn't even an option. Zhai Fangingfa and his crew might be strong, but they couldn't stand against the numerous masters on the Daning side. They had grandmasters to spare. How could a few Xuanhuan envoys hope to win? Both sides had too much to lose, so after hearing Lu Changjing's words, they all backed down. I'm tired. Let the Ministry of Rites figure out the marriage stuff. As he spoke, Lu Changjing stood up and left the Hall of Supreme Harmony. The two sides exchanged glares for a moment before retreating, seeing the embarrassed Xuanhuan envoy. Wei Shangang sneered and followed Tai Cha to the Minister of Rites. The Xuanhuan tribe was acting so high and mighty, even though they were clearly at a disadvantage. Lu Changjing wasn't going to put up with it, although Cao Wenjing felt uneasy. This whole situation seemed out of character for Ning Zhongyu and risked permanently alienating the Xuanhuan tribe. He couldn't ignore the Xuanhuan tribe's arrogance. They wanted the queen's position and wanted the great Ning dynasty to send troops to deal with the blood barbarians. Even if Ning Zhongyu wasn't in seclusion, he'd never agree to that, so, after a lot of back and forth, he let things play out. Back in the imperial study, Cao Wenjing paced with a worried expression, trying to figure out what to do next. He definitely wasn't taking Lu Changjing's advice, since this mess would ultimately land on his shoulders. It was just a shame that Ning Zhongyu was unreachable. He was at a critical point in his healing, so Cao Wenjing was on his own. Just thinking about it gave Cao Wenjing a headache. This was a major deal, tied to the queen's position and the relationship between the two countries. Pa. After agonizing over it for a while, Cao Wenjing slapped Lu Changjing's note a few times, then hurried out of the imperial study, unsure of who to talk to. Cao Wenjing ignored Lu Changjing's opinion, so Lu Changjing naturally wouldn't worry about it. After all, he hadn't taken over Ning Zhongyu's job yet. He had no power to make decisions. He was better off focusing on his own things. He was about to get back to practicing when he heard Tan Qinyan's sweet voice behind him. Brother, baby's here again. Lu Changjing had noticed that ever since he told Tan Qinyan the name, baby, she'd been calling herself that more and more. It was so innocent and cute. Tan Baobao's face was all smiles, her teeth as white as frost, her pink clothes flowing, her sleeves dancing, her hair was piled high, adorned with green ornaments and dangling tassels, dazzling gems sparkling. Her delicate hairpin swayed with her every step, like something out of a painting. She held a food box in her jade hand, filled with who knew what delicious treats, waiting for Lu Changjing to whip up some imported delicacies for her. Lu Changjing hugged Tan Baobao as she rushed over, inhaled her lovely fragrance, and headed toward the retreat room. What goodies did you bring this time? Aren't you afraid of getting fat? Nope. I work out every day. I burn off any extra food. Tan Qinyan grinned and snuggled into Lu Changjing's arms, letting him carry her forward. Soon, they were on the jade bed in the secret room, sharing their imported delicacies. Tan Qinyan was learning that regular food just didn't cut it anymore. Imported delicacies were way better, her brother was amazing. How could he come up with such a thing? If she'd known about this earlier, she wouldn't have wasted her time on so much regular food. Lu Changjing felt a bit ripped off. He hadn't been the emperor before, so how could Ning Zhongyu have known what imported delicacies were? The problem was Tan Qingyan's greed. The imported delicacies he made were never enough. Lu Changjing made most of them, and then she just snatched them away like a bully. At least Lu Changjing had brushed his teeth this morning, or he would have had to deal with her bad breath. Ah, a grape fell down my shirt. At that moment, caught up in her playfulness, Tan Qingyan didn't manage to eat the imported grape she'd just made. Instead, it tumbled down into her clothes. Where? Let me find it. Lu Changjing's eyes lit up. He leaned over quickly and started fiddling with Tan Qingyan's clothes, searching for the fallen imported grape. Before long, his head and hands were inside.